We have over 590 clients. I might have like 3 problems a week.
You want to be successful, ask for hardships. I wake up every morning, I ask God for health, happiness, and wealth. I want everyone to have the same type of successes that I've enjoyed.
The coaching consulting space is shit. And most of the podcasts I go on, mostly ran by coaches, consultants. I don't go on a lot of podcasts where someone runs like a real business like you.
You want to be successful, but the only way to become successful is to manage rough seas.
Jason Wojo is a digital marketing entrepreneur and founder of Wojo Media, specializing in paid advertising on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Google.
He has helped scale over 1,000 businesses and generate more than $100 million in online revenue.
He also shares insights on marketing and business growth as a content creator and educator.
If people chase heat hiring agencies and agencies don't understand the product, but you bought that product, you see the value, who better to manage their spend but Jason Wojo? Right now, what works best, insofar as we understand, we spend about $100 million in advertising just on digital every year, our company. And what we've realized from looking at all these KPIs is that it's not tire kickers, and it's not, people that are lustful that can't afford something. It's if you can display something in an organic way, it resonates with the audience like nothing else. Nobody wants Ronald McDonald touting cheeseburgers any longer. Yeah. And they certainly don't need the likes of, a fake celebrity endorsement. Although we have plenty of celebrity endorsements at Cardiff, but I would argue we need to rejigger them and have them look way more organic, because right now they look fairly inauthentic. But, so when they said, do you want to meet Jason? And they gave me your information, I was like, ooh, this guy looks very interesting.
So does most of your spend go on TikTok right now? Where's most of the spend go? Because you got to be spending 5 figures a day on TikTok, easily.
Yeah, I don't know what we spend on TikTok per day. There was 11 Tyler in here, but
because when I try to run TikTok,
yeah,
I get shitty B2B leads, like idiots.
Yeah.
But then when I go Meta and Instagram, that's where most of my, because I don't know, we spend like 30,000 a day on Facebook, and like that does well.
Yeah.
But I would love to go to
on
TikTok.
Facebook or Meta?
Basically Meta, but we run it on both like Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
So I'll run that kind of traffic, but then like TikTok, like I'll spend $2,000 a day and I just get a bunch of idiots.
Do you have a rep there?
I believe so.
Okay, because at a $30,000 spend a day, you have a rep. They're in Texas.
Well, I'm talking TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't spend 30 grand a day on TikTok. Oh. I'm talking 30 grand a day on Meta, and then TikTok, when I try to spend like 1 to 2K a day and just like get things ramped, it just like shits the bed. Like the ROASs are lower, but you're doing funding.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I feel like you spend more on TikTok than you do on Meta.
I don't think so.
You don't? Okay.
I don't think so. I think our largest spend, and I could be incorrect, but I think our largest spend would be Google. And it would be Google, it would be Google married with YouTube and YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
So YouTube Premium, so where you're like buying these slots during like the World Series or something like that. Or the Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's not as expensive as you think, because again, you're not blanketing the entire United States. It's looking at who your core demographic is, what your client avatar is, and going, oh, you have these G-Clids? Give us these G-Clids for the last 90 days. We will model, right, an audience for you based off of the locations that you want. So we do population centers. So it would be like Texas, Florida, California,
New York.
Yeah. I mean, just anywhere. Makes sense. Illinois, like anywhere with big population centers. But I think with TikTok, when we originally first started, it was wholly unsuccessful. We started TikTok in 2020. And that was like at the birth of TikTok, right?
Yeah, I mean, the CPMs were so low back then.
But the CPMs were low, but they didn't have the audience.
Yeah.
Right? It was still like girls dancing to music. And it was it's funny because my business partner's daughter told us about it when she was like in grade school. And she would sit there and do these dances. And I remember my business partner coming to me and going, we should hop on this platform. And I have this personality where if it's not my idea, I'm extremely dismissive. This is like my Achilles heel. And he's like, just trust me, we're onto something with this app. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. He goes, we should try it. And so when we open up spend with any like major platform, whether it's Reddit or otherwise, that's like, I don't want to say Reddit's like unknown, but it was, right? Like for an advertiser. It was more like, do you want the secrets to the world, and do you want to know who like quietly runs the, you know, the world of finance? Or something? It's the Jews, right? It's the Jews, right? And so this is like dominating Reddit, right, with bots from Iran and Russia. But we always are going to spend like an outsized amount straight out of the gates, just like a stupid bet. And the reason that we do that is because we need the data fast.
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
I'm the same way. I don't want to spend a couple thousand a day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm used to spending 30 grand a day. So for me to spend like a couple thousand a day is just kind of like,
It's a waste of time.
it's a waste, yeah.
Because you can't get, like, the velocity of the data is not fast enough to be able to understand, is this a good, you know, long-term bet, who knows? But even like a short-term bet for, you know, like a project for a client, you got to know, like, in short order, like, it's a roulette table,
Yeah.
right? And you've got all these numbers, but then you also have like some of the shitty casinos in Vegas. You have like black and double black, and it's like 0 and double 0. You have to know where to put the chips. And it's like, you know, owning your own agency, you have the fiduciary responsibilities to be able to like, all right, what's your product? Okay, who's your core avatar? I know exactly not only where to place the bets, but I know the amounts. Like I understand like the division of like
that's
where,
fair.
right? Where to put your bets. Because otherwise, agencies, and you can respond to this as you will, but agencies, it's fairly democratized, right? Meaning that you're gonna get X from agency one, and you're gonna get, you know, something very similar with the next agency. And especially with small business owners, I don't know if I want to understand who your core avatar is, but one, they're shy about spending money,
Oh yeah.
right? Two, they want instant results,
Always.
right? They're like, talk to me about your product. They're like, well, it's not very good. Give me something that like I can use to stratify spend, but also to like focus in on, to hone in on, to get like the right avatar in. You're like,
Or the only thing they say to me is like, oh, I just want to scale. Like none of that matters right now. I just want to scale. And I'm like, you're a dumbass.
yeah,
like,
because they went to some like, and I apologize to anyone in this room that like goes to these types of seminars, but you know, you go to like a Cardone Ventures seminar,
yeah.
right? And some idiots on the stage go, well, these are the break points, see, 1 to 5 million, 5 to 10. They're like anxiously and fervently like scribbling down just utter nonsensical sound bites. They're like, can you get me this, Jason?
Yeah, like the problem is everybody's business is custom.
Yeah.
You got different people, different org charts, different products, different ICPs, different lifetime value. Like there's just so many different factors. Yeah. So it's like when I go to those events, I'm like, but like who's really sitting down with me and going through the shit? And then when you want to do that, they're like, yeah, it's 400 grand. I'm like, oh, cool, fuck you too, okay. And then that's basically how that like maps out.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the agency world it's basically just like a pile of shit wrapped in cat shit. Because you do get the same.
Why do you say that?
You do get the same thing from everybody, but who gets the customer over the other person? The person who pays the most to get a customer wins.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's auction based, right?
It's all auction based. So like with me, it's like, all right, how do I get more agency clients? Okay, I could run more events. I could network more. I could get more affiliates, or I could just run more paid traffic, right? And it's like,
who are you looking for? Are you looking for agencies to outsource to your agency?
No, I don't do a lot of that because I don't know their quality control on their front end to filter clients.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because like if they're
The end user is your client. The end user.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Somebody
I want to go for a coach, consultant, service provider, or like a home service business or local brick and mortar.
Say that soundbite again.
So like coaches, consultants, service pros, home service, or local brick and mortar. Those are like my like top 5.
No law firms.
That's basically service provider.
Doctor's offices, service provider.
Yeah, local brick and mortar like that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you?
But not like restaurants and shit. Like I don't want restaurants with low margins. I don't want cafes. I don't want any of that jazz.
Yeah, that's hard anyway.
So yeah, because you can't.
Like a UGC type thing.
Yeah. But like yeah, that's like our biggest ICP, and then, you know, like we have around the same size team. So it's it's you have a bigger revenue per employee than I do though. That's what I will say. Your revenue per employee has to be higher to spend $100 million a year.
Yeah. You know, we'll fund, I don't know, if we're lucky, maybe $4 billion this year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
And we have clients who do like funding, and this is like you probably can't stand the shit that you see where people are in your industry just using like these like fucking
image ads or something.
Well, no, like rip off funding platforms. and now they call themselves business funding experts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it
So
happens.
like,
I've seen a lot of people get thrown my way, actually, through my buddies that I've met in this short journey into this industry of influencers, who are like, we offer business funding.
and credit repair.
Yeah. And we'll clean your house or something, right? We'll clean your house. We offer anything. It's the flavor of the day, which reminds me, it's like, have you ever been to Istanbul?
No.
Okay, you go to like Istanbul, like Turkey, and it's like you're in a bazaar. You ever heard of the word bazaar? You're in a bazaar, and it's kind of like in America we have like flea markets. There it's called a bazaar. But it's like there's a guy selling pistachios and a guy selling rugs and a guy with like fake purses and this and that. You can get anything at a bazaar. If you took the world of influencers and like, blackface them and put them right in Istanbul, it would work perfectly.
Yeah.
Meaning that like, and I apologize, we're gonna have to like fix that soundbite. But can you still say that? Maybe you can, right? Why not? I don't want any strikes on my YouTube. No strikes. Raf manages my YouTube, but Raf's team, I should say. But that's like the world of influencers. And with my industry, there are only 4 big companies. There's Square, Stripe, American Express, and Cardiff. That's it. And it is seemingly like the world of agencies, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, where it's like you have an industry that's completely fragmented. Anyone who's worked for a major agency leaves
And makes their own.
and gives not only children of that former agency, but then people eventually leave that agency. And I always call that grandchildren and then great grandchildren and so on and so forth. And that's the problem with building companies where, where you don't provide leads. Does that make sense? In an industry where you don't provide leads and it's much like you eat what you kill, whether it's car sales or roofing, or something like that, it's like, where you have door knockers, you will never have a stable or scalable revenue because you're relying on people.
Yeah.
And there's this soundbite from The Godfather Part 3, and somebody says in Italian, he says, if you build on people, you build on mud, which is kind of true, right? People's ultimate self-interest will always outweigh their allegiance or alliance with your company and your brand. They always have their own best interests in mind. So I wonder, for you building this agency, how difficult is it to rely on others to not only help build and scale the brand, but also like to be able to take the mission, vision, and values of your company and actually put their indelible fingerprints on it. More than just, I'm here for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to become like a child or a grandchild.
Yeah, like the biggest thing for us was brand and then reputation to get people actually like to buy in to the mission. Our problem right now is actually not people. We don't have people leave that often. We have really good like retention rates on team members.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of my brand. Like there's not a lot of people at the top of the agency world. It's like me, Eddie Malouf, Neil Patel, and like maybe 2 other people I could think of.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just like the bottom feeder, like.
I hear bad things about Neil Patel's company.
Interesting.
Apparently,
That's not good.
No, I hear there's a huge exodus. I don't know that from the influencer world. I know that because Cardiff has an agency in the UK and that does placements.
Okay.
People placements, and apparently that company has lost like a lot of like major advertisers. It's like they work with like large brands, whether it's Louis Vuitton, or Coca-Cola, or something like this. I don't think, as was explained to me, that they don't necessarily have boots on the ground with Geo and LLMO, right? Like, gaming the language models in preparation for like OpenAI being able to recommend like a brand, if that makes sense, right? They don't necessarily have that type of talent. And so companies are leaving, right? Just like you would, like, and I'll come back to this point because it's interesting. Neil Patel is sort of like a gold standard with like SEO marketing. Not necessarily like digital funnel creation. That's not really what they do. But as you can see, there's this transition from traditional SEO, like how can we conquer the SERP, get you to the, like the top ranks of the first page of Google. Now it's like, well, how can we build brand awareness about who you are and the products you sell, and your reputation, and put that into, right, get it like indexed and scraped, or scraped and indexed rather, by the major LLMs or by the major LLMs. And he doesn't have the boots on the ground for that. And so a lot of big brands are leaving, which is causing this untimely exodus of a lot of his talent. And so I bring that up because you sit at this weird intersection as an agency, right? Where it's like, very soon, OpenAI will open up the gates to allow people to advertise B2C. I think B2B will come. But I think B2C will start first because it has more velocity. Right?
Yeah,
it's higher velocity. And it's also lower price points, so you can solve for why a lot faster by getting people to purchase, right? It's very e-com, right? Your agency, tell me about, you talked about like the core 5 like avatars, service providers, do you have a strategy that arms you in preparation for these LLMs to be able to open up?
Business owners, listen up. If your business needs more money, and it will, banks aren't built to move quick. They make you fill out a ton of paperwork, wait for a decision, and by that time, the opportunity is passed. So if you want bank rates without bank delays, you need to check out Cardiff. Cardiff's been helping businesses get same-day funding for over 20 years. We're talking up to $500,000 approved and funded quicker and easier than big banks. You can apply online in under 2 minutes and get funded as fast as the same day. So whether you need quick money to bridge a gap or do more marketing, get some equipment, or hire more people, I'm telling you, apply today at cardiff.co/Brad. Stop letting slow money cost you opportunities that move fast. There's no impact on your personal credit, so apply now at cardiff.co/Brad. Subject to approval, terms and rates vary. Cardiff, borrow better.
I mean, for us, like, we have open beta access right now. So like we're going through that currently because OpenAI just started to open up beta spots and I was able to get one. So like we're going through like what the search terms are, how it goes from like intent-based to research-based intent. B2B could work early on just based off like the sectors that we're seeing within the targeting. But like, yeah, B2C is always going to be like the open leg when the race first starts.
And you guys primarily focus B2B.
Yeah, B2B, yeah. I mean, like we have e-com stores that are B2C, and then we have like coaches that are B2C too.
Okay.
But like,
is that still a thing, coaching?
Yeah, I mean,
in the world of democratized knowledge, where anyone can know any answer, there's still people.
Well, here's the thing. You know that the knowledge is at your fingertips. You know that you can go on GPT right now for $20 a month and find out whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you pay more for it, now you care for it more. Like we all know that the solutions are there.
Yeah, perhaps.
Like if I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, you know, like we should really fix our employee hierarchy. Okay. But if I go to a coach and I spend 10 grand to fix my hierarchy, now I just care a lot more than just having the idea. And I feel like that's the illusion of like coaching.
So that is the illusion. So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Do these coaches actually understand how to re-engineer the hierarchy?
I mean, most people sell air.
Okay.
I don't sell coaching.
Okay.
We just sell services. I don't want to sell coaching.
Yeah.
Because I just feel weird about it. And it doesn't really build enterprise value whatsoever. Like
Have you ever done it before?
Sold coaching?
For yourself?
I mean, I did it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just did one-on-one calls. But like
Somebody pays $2,000 to talk to you for an hour?
Yeah, basically. It was like 3 calls for $49.97. That's the way I used to sell it.
Yeah.
And like that was cool.
Yeah.
And people actually listened to the shit I said because it was me. But as soon as I placed like an executive coach, now people are like, oh, well, it's not Wojo. So now they don't listen as much. They don't feel as guilty about showing up to the calls and not doing stuff. So I just felt weird about it. I was like, you know what, like fuck the do it with you and the do it yourself. Like, let's just build good fulfillment and just do done for you.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I just transitioned everything.
Interesting.
But like business dev is still a big market. Like Cardone, you know, they do 300 million a year selling biz dev, and maybe half of their stuff is not even done for you.
Yeah.
But it's the illusion of like, okay, if you listen to me, then you could have what I have. And that's like the dangling of the carrot.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some businesses that have benefited. There's got to be some businesses that bought into this Scientology nonsense.
Yeah.
They were
I
like,
mean, I didn't buy into the Scientology shit.
I'm not
but, like,
accusing you of.
like,
Unless you have.
Like I bought the 360 event, it was $40,000 for a 3-day event.
No.
$40K for 3 days.
You're too smart for that.
But I bought it, and then we bought the $180,000 360, which is it's 18 months of done for you stuff. It's 180 grand where they go in and they like reinvent the entire business, the hierarchy. They redo all your books, your QuickBooks, like all this shit gets done from scratch, your revenue per employee calculator, all this stuff gets done. It was actually like valuable because it made us care.
Wow.
Could I go on
This was done virtually, or somebody came to your office?
virtually? So like, could I have done it myself? Yeah. Probably, but like no one charged my card to care.
Interesting.
So now that I paid 180K and I ACH them 180 grand, now I cared. And it just made us more accountable. Like, do I contribute our success to that program? No. But like, did it help us fix the fulfillment and the model and all that and all the tracking?
Yeah.
I'll give them credit for that.
So now do you run the ads for Cardone Ventures?
No, I do consulting with Jared though. Like I consult them on like
I don't know who that is, but
he's just like his VP.
Okay.
But like I still talk with them, but you can't get in touch with Grant. Like it's fucking impossible. And the crazy part is that 3 weeks ago, my sales team comes to me and they're like, dude, do you talk to Grant? I'm like, no. They're like, bro, we got like 5 referrals today alone, just from Grant. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we had 5 people come on the phone today and they bought, and they just said that Grant sent them.
That's great.
And I'm like, but he doesn't know who I am, doesn't follow me, nothing. I made a video 3 weeks ago on a podcast, and it was overrated, underrated. And I said that Grant Cardone was underrated because people hate on him because he like, sells from stage and he just like shows off his plane and his cars.
Yeah.
And I guess he liked that video, commented, and shared it on his story, and we got a fuck ton of book calls.
Oh, wow. There you
So
go.
I was like, all right, like, I'll take it, know?
If people chase heat hiring agencies and agencies don't understand their product, but you bought that product, you see the value in Cardone Ventures, who better to manage their spend but Jason Wojo?
Yeah, I mean, if I know the offer and I spent the money on it, then it would make sense that I would run the traffic.
Who better than Jason Wojo?
Nobody.
There we go.
Because I bought the offer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like their own in-house team's not going to spend a couple $100 grand and buy the offer.
Yeah.
They see their customers go to the offer, but they're not actually like doing it themselves.
Yeah.
They're just selling the messaging and the image.
You're getting
And then when you go to their board or whatever you want to say, if they're a marketing team, they now have to take their message and then get it approved by somebody else. So technically they don't have the final say.
Right.
So it's like we could have a marketing director there that's in-house, but at the end of the day, they got to go to the VP or wherever that person is to get the message approved or this new funnel approved, this new offer approved.
Yeah.
Like all marketing messages come down to offers. Like if you change one sentence in your headline, like that really can change the entirety of the offer and the conversion rate.
Yeah. It reminds me of the 1980s. In the 1980s, McDonald's had this strategy, which printed them billions of dollars perpetually for like the next 45 years. Would you like fries with that? Mm-hmm. Then what came after that, because you're talking about single sentences, do you want to supersize that, which came in the late 90s? And that caused everyone to spend more money. Fast forward to 2025, I think. Chipotle's CEO leaves, I think, and goes to Starbucks. The new Starbucks CEO comes, I don't know if you know this story. It's very interesting. He comes, he says, all right, well, we need more revenue. We need to build more, we need to deliver more shareholder value. So what are we going to do? And he stands there and he looks at the menu. And the menu is like the Bible. Who reads the Bible in one day? You might read like a passage.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to cram as many customers as you can and you're operating business hours, then you need to get customers in and you need to get customers out. So he simplified the menu and he pared it back by 70%, which is not his strategy. When they fired Steve Jobs from Apple and brought him back, he did the same thing with their online store. In essence, right, it's getting more with less.
Yeah.
If you're confusing people about what products they can buy, you have too many offers, that causes people to freeze.
Yeah.
It's like throwing a weird pitch at a batter that he can't anticipate. They just freeze up and then they won't swing. Well, in baseball, that could be a good thing. But in the world of like commerce, that's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
You don't want your customer to freeze, not make a purchase. But going back to the Starbucks example, his idea was get a customer in and out in 4 minutes, simplify the menu, simplify the ingredients, kick out the stuff that's low margin. And that's why I'm saying this example, and I'm coming back to this for you. Who better to run Cardone Ventures like media budget or overall media strategy? I would take the Pepsi challenge. I would come to Cardone and I would say, all right, I want one meeting, I want 1 hour, and I will break down why I can do this better. This is your old model, this is your funnel. I mean, you can see in the Facebook ads library, like, what their ads were, what their landing pages are, for example. You just break it down, you're like, these are, and this is the brilliance of being an editor. It's easier to edit than it is to create.
Yeah.
And you go, friction point 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what your remarketing looks like. This is not good. This is the tone of your text messages, and they're all wrong. This is the what is it, the press one or whatever, whatever those voicemails are, where they dump it in your voicemail box, the 0 ring voicemails. And you're like, dude, because one of the things they're not doing, which I can tell you, is they're not advertising on YouTube. They're
Not hitting a lot of YouTube pre-roll either.
No,
Yeah.
and there's no direct mail. If you have a business, a verified business lead, send them a piece of mail. A stamp costs you 50 cents. A number 10 envelope costs you 8 cents for insert and envelope, right? For a moment in time, Cardiff was the largest direct mail, like junk mailer in our entire industry. We had 1 million pieces a month in the mail stream, which doesn't sound like a lot by spend, but our market's fairly small, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like the world of real estate and mortgages where it's trillions of dollars. Our market, like Square and Stripe do like 5 or 6x what we do. That's how big they are. And they do it all with 0 ad spend because it's all in platform.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we have to actually market, which obviously creates a lot of wasted spend. Yeah. But for you, again, we've gone sort of down this rabbit hole about Cardone Ventures, but I think if you understand, having bought this, who better to make, who better to make a point like, let me manage this better. I'll take the Pepsi challenge, right? You give me the same ad spend that you're giving yourselves internally, or you cut it in half and bifurcate it and let me run let me run these funnels and you run your own.
Yeah.
And at the end of 90 days, we'll see who did better, what the ROAS was.
Yeah. And that's when they came to me with the quiz funnel. They have that breakpoint quiz funnel.
Right.
I told them to take that to their automated webinar, which they did.
Yeah.
And that's what they now run now.
So you gave them free advice.
And it works because the quiz would route them to the correct video. So when they go to the quiz, they're like, all right, what is my breakpoint?
Yeah.
And then after the breakpoint, there were multiple automated VSLs that they would watch through Webinar Jam. I was like, why don't you just route people to the right video? So that when a setter calls within 60 seconds, you have a better conversation. Yeah. Oh, you're currently watching the blah, blah, blah video because you're stuck between 1 and 5 million, which means it's probably around marketing, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, it's all up in the air, you're sending just the one VSL.
I wonder if their sales teams are broken down by like SIC code, like NAICS. So
I believe so.
So like when you're calling a roofing, like if you're calling a roofer, you've got a ton of experience with roofers.
And that's why they have different ad accounts for each niche. So they go after the HVAC niche a lot. That's its own ad account. They go over roofing. They go over all these different sectors.
Yeah.
So that Facebook, like those ad ID codes will then go to HubSpot. And then HubSpot has its own account just for home service.
So let me ask you a question. With regard to agencies, does Cardone have their own agency?
They're all in-house.
Meaning, let me sort of explain. So
no, they do not. They stopped selling marketing services, and then Jared and me were kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
And we just never got to that conversation.
Sounds like a logical that sounds like a logical first step.
But the issue is that, like, to be transparent, that's a lot of clients. They do 300 million a year. They probably have fucking who knows how many clients.
Well, but and that's the problem, right? They're all spending, an average client's probably spending like $5,000 to $20,000 in ad spend a month.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah.
So fulfillment wise, I could probably take 20 a week,
Yeah.
but not 300 a week.
Yeah.
So like that's the only issue with it. And
Can
that's
you
like
automate that?
automate what?
Just
Dude, fulfillment's the hardest thing to automate when I gotta put like, A players behind it without losing the authenticity. Like I would love to use AI to automate stuff, dude. I would love to. But the clients catch it too quick.
Yeah.
And then that's the issue. Like we tried where we were using Claude and we had bots and we had
Claude
copy.
bot?
We had Claude bots.
Yeah.
We had copy, but we started pumping the stuff out and clients were like, this was AI. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah. And they catch it. And they're like, I don't want that for my business. I want someone, an actual copywriter to come through, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just tough, dude. When they're paying fat retainers, they want like really good stuff.
Yeah.
Graphics, they're like, that was AI. Yeah. I'm like, well, you didn't give us good enough photos. They're like, well, you didn't ask us to. I'm
It's like the
well,
uncanny valley. You ever heard that phrase, uncanny valley?
Yes.
Where you can like sense that something is not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
dude, the hardest part about our business, it's all about the clients. Like my people are good. The clients, like, dude, like you run a successful business, you know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like 89% of businesses fail within 5 years.
Yeah.
So now we give a business that has validity, that could make money, a ton of leads, but then they complain the leads aren't great. And I'm like, well, we're hitting the exact avatar, the messaging, the application, they fill it out, you didn't call them.
Do you have access to their CRMs where you can see?
We check all their shit, all their lead times, all their talk time.
Like
We check
response
speed
time.
to lead.
Do you give them advice on? It almost feels like you need to marry an outsourced sales team for service providers, as an example, with your service.
We're building a call center currently.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, well, do you want
We've
us
realized
to just
this,
close the
and it's
business
an
for you?
expensive thing to build, unfortunately. But like we're doing the whole call center angle to where we build the call center and then we work
Domestically?
No, overseas.
Overseas.
Yeah. Domestically, it's really expensive, a call center in the US.
Yeah. We built a call center in 2014 in Mexico. And it was after years of, again, I'm old, you're young, but this is like a few years before we had played with this idea of leveraging outsourced sales or customer service actually in Manila. But this was at like the inception of VoIP, right? Like, voice over IP telephony. And we would listen to these recordings and it was sounded awful. We're like, oh my God, there's like a delay, there's like fuzz, there's like, I don't know what the bit rate, whatever it's called, right? Like the packets of information going back and forth.
Yeah.
The latency was too much. So we stopped that and we ended up in 2014 building a call center, thinking that you could outsource customer service to another company, or not to another company, but to another country, and you'd save money. I think we learned the opposite was true. We had boots on the ground. So I live in San Diego. We opened an office in Tijuana, and we would travel back and forth every day to build this. It's probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. Yeah,
If you had to do it over, what would you have changed?
It's a great question. It depends on, I guess, where you're building. So I have a friend who I was on the podcast, who owns a company similar to ours, much smaller. Actually, it wasn't even on the podcast. We filmed here a few weeks ago, but it was like, he just wanted to film. So it's not going on like YouTube or Spotify. So we just filmed the episode. I feel like you were here, right? With Misha. But, the difficulties are, at least for me, was that if you're not there, or you don't have Americans there that are like triaging things on the fly, because it's like, with anything, like with telephone sales, BMW is barge monitor whisper. You can have that where it's like you hear something and somebody takes over the call or whatever. But if you want to build foundationally, if you want to build something down there, Mexico as an example, specifically for sales, you almost have to like start from the beginning, because these people, they may be call center experts, but they chase heat. Yeah. So they'll go from call center to call center, like today I'm working for Discover, and then next week I'm gonna work for Wells Fargo, processing new credit cards that were just delivered in the mail. They never care about the brand. They never care about the product.
I mean, they're robots, though. If you really want to break it down, I mean,
Or they're like hired guns.
Yeah.
Meaning that, like, they'll kill whoever you want.
Yeah.
But if somebody offers them a higher bounty, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by kill you is they'll end up sabotaging your brand. And as you know from owning a company, it spreads like a virus, right? It's pervasive, and it's so hard to build the right culture so people don't leave, that doing it in another country where culturally, right, it's just different. Like, for example, in Mexico, I can tell you, our office shuts down, I want to say the first week of December, and doesn't reopen to like the third week of January.
Damn.
Yeah. And what we didn't understand, because we weren't, ethnically Mexican, was that this is a common practice all throughout Mexico, specifically in the call center industry, which is very large, because they get this bonus called aguinaldos. It's like your Christmas bonus. And then they quit, and then they enjoy basically 5 weeks of winter break, and then they ask to be rehired come January.
What the?
And they do this every year until you build the right type of company where they're like, we're not going to do that because we'll backfill your position with somebody that sits right next to you, or we'll just hire a more qualified person from outside the company. But it's like my dad's Israeli, and my dad would say like, he would say, if you ever want to build a company in Israel, he's like, people are like, well, how do you make a small fortune in Israel? And my dad would say, start with a large one. And so the joke is like, how do you make a small fortune in Mexico? Start with a large one, because you're going to lose your shirt. And so it doesn't matter if you try the Dominican, or you try, the Philippines, or you try Mexico, Colombia, they're hired guns.
Yeah.
And depending on the offer, like, if it's B2C, I think it's fairly easy. If it's customer service, it's fairly easy.
B2B is tough.
I think B2B is tough. It's a tough animal. I spent my 30s in Mexico. I hated it. It was awful. I would work the entire day. I wouldn't eat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to eat the food down there. I don't want to drink the water. But I would work the entire day, and then I wouldn't get home to my wife till maybe like 9 o'clock at night. And it was just like, it was one of those things in life where if you want to build something amazing and you want to lower your CAC, you got to do it. I think, if somebody like you're asking, are you married?
No.
No kids.
No kids. I have 2 dogs.
You have 2 dogs. It's the perfect time in your life to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to be there, because otherwise they will find 6 ways next Sunday how to fuck you.
Yeah.
They'll go on strike. Like, it's the, like, things that you couldn't even dream of. Like, in the US, the worst thing you could think of is the guy has your database and he leaves, and then he takes it and goes to another company or starts his own company, and he calls your customers. That's the worst you can think of. In Mexico, you're going the same way to work and the same way home. The worst thing that you can think of is getting kidnapped. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, my grandfather used to say, cheap is expensive and expensive is cheap. I'd rather build in the US. That's my personal opinion. I still own a company in Mexico. We're now celebrating 12 years. But it is I would not advise it. And in fact, if I did advise it, I would say a work from home only.
Yeah.
Because you put all these people together, and it's almost like they inadvertently conspire against you.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make
bet.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always, Cardiff is 100% work from home. And I remember speaking to like our investors and going, well, we're going to pivot to work from home. They're like, what? Like, that sounds really weird for financial services. I said, Coinbase does it. And thank God Coinbase didn't go the way of FTX, because that whole thing would have backfired. Yeah. But yeah, you asked me what's the one thing you would, if I had to give advice to someone about opening up in Mexico, that's the piece of advice. I would have it fragmented and segmented, meaning like, like it would be like a duck talking to a chicken. They couldn't communicate.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just think with the Cardone Ventures thing, to come back to that, and we don't have to dwell on it. It's just that you bought the product. Who better to understand it? They're getting through their funnel, and you should speak on their stages as well. But you bought the product, you understand the value. And like you were saying, right, to kind of come back to this, you can use AI to understand how to like rejigger your, sort of hierarchical, like, whatever, your employment sort of diagram, if you will. Or you can pay to have it done, and then you'll care more.
Yeah.
Are you caring more?
Yeah.
Right? And so with their funnel, that seems like an ancillary product that should be offered. Meaning like, we'll do your direct marketing.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
But they want to stay away from fulfillment. Because fulfillment means that people now have something quantifiable to be mad about. Like that's the hardest.
Talk to me more about what you mean by that.
That's the hardest part about an agency, is that because I now do done for you services, now you have the ability to be like, this isn't good, this is good. Like it's a quantifiable, tangible thing. They have something to complain about. But if I got you on calls and I'm like, here's how to do this, here's how to do that, now it's all
amorphous.
Yeah.
It's amorphous, right? It's amorphous. You can't quantify it. You don't like, the value is hard to like, the value is hard to quantify.
Yeah. And then it's like, like you could be
for them to be scared of doing that is like,
because it's easier to sell air and it's higher margins, man. Like it's just higher margins. What does air cost? Nothing. It just costs one person, not a whole team of 10.
But isn't there so much money to be made in the world of agency ownership?
Cardiff, well, we all know small businesses are the backbone of the American economy, but getting funding is an uphill battle. Over 70% of the 36 million U.S. small businesses need extra capital at least once a year. Revenue is high, but big banks are approving fewer loans than ever, and the typical funding process can take weeks or months just to get through all the paperwork. But if you want bank rates without the bank dragging its feet, check out cardiff.co/Adam for up to $500,000 same-day funding. Cardiff is the largest privately held small business lender in the country with over $12 billion funded since 2004. The application takes under 5 minutes, doesn't affect your personal credit, and approval happens fast. Use the money however your business needs it. Payroll, inventory expansion, keeping the lights on.
Yeah, like we do well, there's money in it, but there's a lot of headaches for that come with it.
Talk to me about the biggest headaches that you have as the owner of an agency.
It's mostly the clients.
It's not your people?
Dude, they're so well trained.
Yeah.
We have over 590 clients.
That's wild that you know that number.
I might have like 3 problems a week.
Yeah.
We got good like problem management. Not a lot of people are pissed. But then it comes down to, why is the client not re-signing?
Yeah.
Why is this client not staying? And it's mostly because of the shiny object syndrome, or it's because they know damn well that they just suck and they don't want to take our advice to go build out all these things. Like
it's a product issue.
When we're doing consulting calls and we're like, hey, listen, like your sales team's bad. You should get our sales training. No, we're not going to spend that much money. Okay, so then what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like I can't give you layup of leads that just want to buy from you instantly.
Yeah.
Like not even our sales team runs that way.
Because it's not like a zero friction funnel. Somebody needs to speak to someone. They need to sort of describe how your product can make them feel, how your product can deliver a result, right?
Yeah, it depends. It could be a longer sales cycle, a shorter sales cycle. Like if you're a local med spa, the sales cycle is like freaking an hour.
Yeah.
If you're B2B, some of these deals to be closed take 7 to 14 days. Got to go to a board, then the board reviews it. Board wants to hop on a third call. Board goes over agreement. Board sends us revisions from the contract, and then it's like a $40,000 deal, but it took goddamn 2 weeks.
Your companies that you work with have boards?
Some of them have boards, yeah. Like we have some pretty good clients. But I hate boards. I don't have a board myself.
Yeah.
Like there's like, you know.
should have a board of advisors. You don't have to have a board of directors.
I don't want a board of directors. Hell
yeah,
no.
well, you'd have to give up equity. Board of advisors are just people that are not from your industry that you trust to be the Oracle of Delphi when you have questions, right?
And then we have people who are running, $1 to $3 million businesses, 3 to 7.
What's your ideal, like if you say, Will, my ideal customer avatar, not industry, but like revenue size, Will. I said, I'll grant you a wish.
It's going to be
grant you a wish.
1 to 3 million.
And why? Why is that 1 to 3 million so important?
Because they know they have stuff to fix. As soon as they start making 3 to 7, they have an ego, and it's an ego battle trying to train them or coach them.
And you've identified 3 to 7. That's like
3 to 7 is where they're like, oh, I'm making enough money. I know what I should fix. Why are you telling me? 1 to 3 million is like, you're making 80 grand a month to 150 grand a month. You know that you need help. It's not enough for you to have an ego yet. I mean, like the core ICP, I want them to be spending at least $500.
Wait, what does
$2,000.
ICP mean?
Ideal customer profile.
There we go.
So I want them to be spending at least $500 to $1,000 a day.
And
For you to get to $500 to $1,000 a day, you got to have some type of proof of concept, like some. It's a little bit of validity.
So if I'm a coach, consultant, or service provider, I'm doing anywhere between 1 to 3 million, and I want to be able to outsource my marketing, spend minimum $100 a day, but still get a great ROAS, I can call you?
Yeah.
That is insane. Because I don't think I'd be able to do it on my own. I couldn't. I don't have somebody sitting there in that marketing chair, apart from my daughter, that's looking at the data, right? Once every week.
Well, you shouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be driving revenue for the business. You're not supposed to be running ads from an ads manager. That's not where your KPI time should be driven.
Yeah. So if your business is doing anywhere between $1 and $3 million, your money's best spent outsourcing marketing to Jason.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Because,
You have a lot of data to back that up, right?
Because from 1 to 3 million, if I get you more leads, you can now afford to actually hire A players. Most people that are 1 to 3 million, they have cash flow issues. And they're putting B players, trying to train them into A players when it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I think most small business owners doing under 5 million in revenue, they are making all the decisions for the business. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah. They're extremely biased. They don't know landing pages from, they don't landing pages from coloring pages, right? They should, they ought not to be involved in the marketing, and they're biased anyway. They want big blocky letters because they didn't graduate 12th grade. They want primary colors because that's all they use for their coloring books. You know what I mean? Like they're not like staying on top of design trends. They don't understand friction points. They know who their competitors are, and they're always jealous because the grass is always greener. Mm-hmm. So when people come to your company, do they say, like during this sort of this intake time, do they say, well, this is what we do, and these are our products, and these are the prices, and these are our competitors? Like, help me understand that.
So first is like their offer. Like, what do you sell? What's the flagship offer? We do like the 80-20 rule. So like, what do you sell? 20% of the time is 80% of the revenue, essentially. Yeah. Like, I want to know what the big chunk is of like the pie. And then from there, you're going to tell me what your sales process. Like, how does a lead come in? What are the touch points? Who's calling them? What are they being sold? Is it a 1-call close, 2-call close? Do you have setters? How big's your sales team? And then from there, I look at your current KPIs, which is like, all right, how many leads do you get a day? Where are they coming from? What's the source? What's the ICP's biggest problems? What's their biggest motivators?
And are the businesses that are 1 to 3 million, are they using CRMs? Or are they like, yeah, dude, we just like write it down on a legal pad?
I mean, most of them are using CRMs. Like, they're
like Service Titan or something?
Yeah, they're on Service Titan, HubSpot, or Go High Level. Okay. One of those three is where they primarily sit.
Which if I'm a business owner and I'm choosing a CRM, if I'm a plumber, what CRM is going to yield me the best results? If I'm 1 to 3 million in revenue.
1 to 3 million, I'd probably do Service Titan.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, if you're trying to hit 1 million, I would have GHL in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's more like, you can't run, this is like the crawling version of a CRM.
Service Titan also has like more advanced invoicing.
Yeah, interesting.
And just has like, you can increase your lifetime value more with Service Titan. You could build those things out and Go High Level. Yeah. But you're gonna spend more money on like webhooks and the customization of it. And you're gonna have to stay on like Stripe, which we could talk all day about Stripe, but like, I don't like Stripe. Yeah. Stripe shuts everybody down or pulls their funds.
And that's because of chargebacks or something?
Yeah, mostly chargebacks, yeah. And then refund rates. So,
but this is like the world of coaches and consultants.
Yeah.
Okay. But as sort of like your business grows and develops, I would imagine you won't retain that same bias. Yeah. You know what I mean? As you like, nobody's worried about chargebacks at a med spa. Nobody's getting their boobs done going, I want my money back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. I'm looking at the camera guys. He's like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're disfigured or something.
The only refund problems
They want half of it back or something.
the only refunds
Yeah.
that you'll have as like a coach or consultant is mostly buyer's remorse or unrealistic expectations.
So let's talk about that. So you said,
So why did you say that, oh, this is like my podcast? Like when I'm just intrigued
oh, why did
by
I
that.
say this is your podcast?
Yeah, so like I just get intrigued by that.
Yeah.
Because like obviously I know your time's really valuable.
Yeah.
So why is it so important to you that I get the most out of it when it's your show? Is it
I think it has to do with a perception. I think it has to do with a mindset. I've done well in my life. I wake up every morning and I say a prayer. And you could say it's hokey and you could say it's weird, but I say a prayer. I ask God for health, happiness, and wealth for my friends and for my family, in that order, syntax, for my friends and my family, and lastly for me. Why for me? Because I want everyone who orbits around me to have the same type of successes that I've enjoyed. Right? When you ask God for like, and you don't have to be religious, but if you ask the universe, right, you scream, to the sky or whatever, and you ask why. Some people will say, well, if you want to be successful, ask for hardships, because if you overcome hardships, you become a hardened man, right? And you're able to navigate. Nobody wants to be a sailor in rough waters. Everybody wants to say I'm a sailor and I traverse the seas, and yeah, I get it. You want to be successful, but the only way to earn your stripes and the only way to become successful is to manage rough seas. I've managed a lot of rough seas, right? I've told you about my experience in Mexico and so on and so forth. I don't tell you those stories because they're untruths. I tell you those stories because I had to suffer through that. And at the time, it causes you to have an existential crisis. Why me? Why am I suffering like this? Why are these people leaving my company and starting their own? What did I do to deserve this? It hardens you. And in life, it very much swings like a pendulum, meaning that you go from being too giving to then getting manipulated and stepped on, and then the pendulum swings in the opposite direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you do become hardened and you trust less. I'm now on a backswing where I've done well in life. I've already absorbed the hurt and become hardened, and now I'm going this way. And
makes sense.
Yeah, and at 46, I want to give. So, again, I don't have a podcast studio. I film at a fancy resort. Sure, it costs a lot of money, but I enjoy it. And it's not about me, right? The podcast is about you, right? I only want to have people on my show that bring real value to the world. If I wanted to have like circus acts, coaches, and consultants, I would do it.
Yeah.
And those are circus acts. And I think they're out, unless they're substantiated with real offers, I don't find value. And I don't think the world will either. I want to meet people who have built and scaled. I want to meet people that have learned lessons that they can share. And if you're willing to be a guest on my show, then the reciprocity of that relationship is me giving you an ample opportunity, soundbite wise, to describe not only your offer, but who your core customer is and what value you can bring to them, and differentiate yourselves from your peers and competitors, and then be able to export that content, right, and be able to use it in a marketing forum.
Yeah.
Right, because I think this platform, just podcasting in general, it gives people the opportunity to have an authentic discussion where they, the listener, can make a decision on all right, is it worth buying or not? Because the modern form of advertising, at least for this generation, they want the real scoop. They don't want a lot of veneer on the offer, right? They don't want, They don't want to feel manipulated and hoodwinked, right? They want the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is, right, that your agency works with these 5 core, avatars. And that as long as they have a decent sales department, at a very minimum amount of money, a very minimum spend per day, you'll get them quality leads. So why should they shop anywhere else?
They shouldn't.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tee it up for you as if you've got a book coming out next week and it's going to be available on Amazon and sold in bookstores everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's my reciprocity to you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. I'm a real one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, like the coaching consulting space is like basically bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just someone bought something from someone else.
Yeah.
And then they just revamped it and made it their own. And most of the podcasts I go on, man, are just like mostly ran by coaches, consultants. I don't go on a lot of podcasts where someone runs like a real business like you.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen much.
There aren't very many of me because logically,
It's hard.
how would you pivot away from your business to do this? Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like your eyes need to be on these dashboards to make sure your business gets run. I have, again, after 22 years, I'm blessed to have real, people that sit in these seats that make the decisions day to day on how the company is run. I don't have to be there to turn knobs and hit switches, which I think for most entrepreneurs, that's the dream. The dream is to buy back wasted time. It's not to trade time for money. And if you're at a point in your life where you're trading time for money, oh boy, are you confused?
Yeah.
Because time is the most valuable asset. You can give it. I'm giving you my time. Can I ever get this back? No. How do I ever get back this time? Never. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It is the one commodity traded amongst humans that sits atop valuation-wise. There's love and respect and, every sort of emotion, characteristic that you could think of, but time is the most valuable. You're on your last breath in a hospital.
Yeah.
You'll trade every Rolex you own for 5 more minutes of air, with your wife or with your children or something like that.
But but most people are framed into thinking that like they work all this time to make money because they're in fight or flight mode.
Yes.
When you tell someone in fight or flight mode, you're broke, the first thing they're thinking about is, how do I get money even if it takes me all day?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, in you describing those 5 core ICPs, I think they are still at a point where they're willing to trade time for money. And what you're describing is, okay, put your trust in me, this limited budget, have a sales team ready to take these leads, not hours later or God forbid days later, but to act upon these sales leads with immediacy. And I will show you a ROAS of what?
About a 4x. So that's our average ROAS across 90 plus niche and verticals.
And you want to invest $10,000 a month with your agency. What type of ROAS could they expect?
4x.
That's amazing. And what if they did it on their own?
It's gonna be a lot less and a lot slower, that's for sure.
A lot slower and a lot of wasted time, right? I think the one mistake most business owners make, and we can end here, is that they feel like they have to be the best at everything inside of their company, right?
And it usually comes down to trust.
Yeah.
So when they're stuck between 1 and 3 million, they just don't want to give up anything to anybody.
Right.
They always want to be the last naysay for everything.
That's right.
So now when they go to a marketing company, they're like, I don't trust you.
Right.
The same reason why you don't trust your own sales manager, the same reason why you don't trust your own technician, the same way you don't trust sometimes your own fucking wife. I mean, all these things are going on.
It's a trust issue.
It's all it is.
It's all a trust issue.
And that's why we moved a lot to webinars because of the trust recession that all of these, online-based businesses are in. There's so many options out there. Everyone can go to anybody. Anybody can claim they're somebody. And now no one trusts anybody.
So on these webinars that you run, they're live or they're taped?
They're live.
So if I have a question, can I put it in the chat and maybe you'll get to it?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. That seems
I just run it for 1 hour a week.
That's it.
So I go on for 1 hour a week. I get all the leads that I would have had book calls with. Like, obviously you don't take sales calls, but like in the industry, most people flake, they don't show, they come up with some weird objection about their wife, or they gotta wait, or their lawyer has to check the contract or whatever.
Yeah.
I would rather take all the 40 leads per week that I would speak to one-on-one and just put them on a 1-hour Zoom call and let me close all the people that would have bought anyway.
Yeah.
And also it's like, when you're selling one-to-many, I can now take one question that someone asked, answer it, and odds are the other 49 other people out of the 50 were thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So now I'm answering objections one-to-many, and I'm selling one-to-many, and I'm just more efficient with my time.
You know who I should introduce you to? The head of marketing for Go High Level. Do you know Chase Buckner?
I don't know Chase, but I know Robin. I talked to Robin and Sean too.
Okay.
And like we're pretty.
Chase spoke on my stage last year. He was actually on a flight. He lives in Mexico, but he's an American. He just met a Mexican gal. But he was on his way to London for like an event. And in fact, he just got back from India. Go High Level is, I want to word this correctly. There's the secret to the universe is knowing the true names of things. They're an amazing product for a specific segment, a specific demographic. And I think they crush with that segment. But there's so much overlap. You look at like a Venn diagram of like who a Go High Level customer is and then who your company is. There's so much overlap.
Yeah.
They should speak on your stage, you should speak on their stage, and you should be like, a verified, I don't know what we would call it.
Well, we are a verified partner of Go High Level.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a verified marketing partner, and then on top of that, we also we're on their event boards.
How about HubSpot?
HubSpot, no.
Maybe I can introduce you to.
But Go High Level, they have an endorser of me monthly to where I push stuff because I get a lot of trials. I'm a top affiliate. So
you are a top affiliate?
Yeah, that's where I built that relationship with them.
Oh, that's great.
I've done some of their 2-3 day challenges that they have. I've spoken on those virtual stages with thousands of people in a Zoom room. That stuff is great.
Yeah.
And we get business from them, and it's
good.
It's good.
But not from HubSpot.
Not from HubSpot, no.
The head of sales for HubSpot, he's Italian. He spoke on our stage last year. Maybe I'll make the introduction for you. I think it's a meaningful contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's the least I can do. How was this?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Worthwhile?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No.